Hello, welcome to this tutorial on Excel 2007 Vlookups. Now this is my sample spreadsheet here, Fantastic Flights, a small travel agency, and here is a list of my employees. Okay, now this might be used by the HR department, for example, and I haven't got very many employees. If it was a large organization, this list could run into thousands. So what I want is a way of finding out people's first name, last name, their job title and the date that they were hired just by using their employee number. Okay, so we are going to use a Vlookup to calculate this. But before we do that, there are a couple of things that make it very easy, and that is using named ranges. Now firstly, I want to take the whole of this data table here and give it a named range. Okay, so if I select the whole of that data there, go up to the name box, and I'm going to call this staff, S-T-A-F-F, hit enter, and there we are. I've now named my range. Okay. Secondly, I want to be able to search on the employee number, so I'm going to take this range of cells and I'm going to call that EMPNO as a sort of shorthand for employee number. Okay, so far so good. So now I've now got two named ranges, and I'm going to go over to another sheet, the second sheet in my workbook, where I've already copied the heading and each of these column titles: employee number, first name, last name, and so forth. And what I want to do now is I want to firstly put data validation on this cell here, A3, so that whoever is using this will be able to choose from a drop-down list. In order to do that, I'm going to go up to my data tab and across to the data validation button here under data tools. If you click on the drop down there and choose data validation, it will open up the data validation dialog box. And in here under the settings tab, where you see allow, instead of allowing any value here, I'm going to choose list. And I've already named that range, if you recall, so a quick way of displaying the named ranges that you've created is to use the F3 key on your keyboard. There's EMPNO, the one we've just used. I'm going to paste that in there, and you can see what it's done is it put an equal sign in at the beginning and click OK. Great, so that's a real job well done. Look at that. Now all I've got to do is click on the drop down, and there is my employee number. Okay, so that's stage one complete. Now the second part of this stage is we need to use a Vlookup to find whatever it is that matches that employee number. So in the first case, we want a first name field. So to use a Vlookup, I'm going up to the formula bar, I'm going to type in an equal sign, and then in 2007, if you've used this already, you'll know that there's a sort of predictive text version here. So as soon as I start typing, it gives me the name of a function, asks me if this is what I want to use. It is, so using the tab key just allows me to insert that function. It puts the parenthesis in already for me, and as you can see, it gives me a sort of tip as to what I need to do next. Okay, so the first thing is it's asking where should I look? Where should I look for that match? Now obviously I want them to look in that cell there, so I'm going to click in cell A3, separate the arguments with a comma. Okay, next it's saying what's the table array? Well, we've already created one, and we called it staff. Okay, I'm just going to put ST, and there we are. Again, you can see that Excel has located that named range, so I'll put that in staff, another comma. The next thing it wants to know is how far from the left that data is held. So in our original table, the first name was held in the second column, so that's column 2. Okay, so that's fine. There's one other thing that I want to do here, and that is I want to make this an exact match. Okay, so I'm going to put another comma in there, and you see that I've got false or true. If it's true, it's going to make an approximation. If I choose false, it will give me an exact match. So I'll put false in there, close the bracket, and press enter. Okay, so let's just see if that works. If I click on the employee number field, and let's go to the top of the list and choose There we go. The first one, and it brings up Alan. If we just go back to our data sheet and check, yep, there's the first one, and it has brought up Alan. Okay, that's great. Now all we need to do is to copy that across to the other cells in that row. I can do it by just dragging it like that, but I need to change these names, the references, to the appropriate column. So in here it's A3 instead of B3, and it will now be column 3 instead of column 2. Okay. In the job title, I'm going to change this again to A3, and this time it'll be column 4, and that puts its job title in. In the final one here, the date hired field, it's going to be A3 again, and this is going to be column 5. Okay, and once again all we need to do here is to format this as a date. So I'm going to change the format of that cell to a date format, okay, so that we can see what date the person was hired. Okay, let's just try this and see if it works. I've got the first one selected at the moment. Let's go down to the third in the list. It tells us from the employee number what their first name, last name, job title and date hired is. Okay, I hope you found that useful. Thanks very much for watching.